Episode 6 is told from Ben Gross's point of view. Ever since Ben was little, he wanted to go to Columbia University because his father went to Columbia, and he is extremely driven to get in, to the point where he is burning the midnight oil and then some. Everybody tells Ben that he's working too hard, but in his opinion, he's not working hard enough. The kid's got 10 classes, he's working on classes in different classes, and he's living off of Slim Jims. It gets to the point where the principal walks up to him and says, I just realized you're taking 10 classes. You got to lower your workload. And this isn't a suggestion. It's a statement. You've got to drop 2 classes or I'm dropping them for you. Even though Ben thinks he's worked out the perfect system to make this work, the principal isn't budging. His next class is AP Physics, and Davey is actually sitting right next to him. The teacher for AP Physics, though, is going through a tough one. The guy is disheveled as all hell, and that has something to do with his divorce. Or maybe the fact that teachers are completely underpaid. But he's going to make the kids break up into groups, go through the next few units of their syllabus, and then teach those units to his class. He's basically making them be the teachers. Ben and Davey immediately team up because they're 2 of the smarter kids in class, and they get stuck with Trent. And the deal they make with Trent is, you get to be in our group and get an easy A, so long as he agrees to use his fake ID to buy them beer. That's a deal that Trent isn't going to pass up. When the trio start talking about times to meet, the only time that Ben has available is between 1:15 and 2 a.m. That's not going to work for Davey. She thinks that's psychotic. So she tells him, yeah, you're going to meet me after class. And when Ben points out that he usually meets with his Mandarin teacher over Zoom during that time period, she tells him, fine. Then Trent will do your workload and you'll get a B. And Ben has to concede and meet up. After class, the trio meet up at Davey's house. They start going over the workload, but then Davey mentions that Ben's current workload in school is crazy. He thinks it's because he's taking 10 classes, but she says, no, I'm taking 11 classes, but 3 of them are easy electives. So while colleges might look at my resume and see a couple of easy A's, with you, they're going to see a couple of B's, and I won't have any of those on my transcript. And when he takes offense to that because a B is unacceptable for Ben Gross, well, you're going to end up with a B if you keep grinding away like this. But Ben is convinced that his system is going to work and he's going to get into Columbia. Davey's mother then walks in the room and tells Davey that Rye is coming over for dinner and she wants to know if Davey's coming down. But Davey says, no, I'm good. I'll just get something frozen. However, when she escorts Ben and Trent downstairs to go home, she sees that Raya did not come alone because there's Dez looking delicious. It gets Davey pretty flustered and Ben pretty confused. He can't figure out who this kid is. So when Davey's mom invites both Ben and Trent to stay, they both take her up on the offer. Trent because he just wants free food, and Ben because he wants to get a look at his competition. Davey runs upstairs real quick, changes, making herself look a little more presentable, but it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that Davey is into this guy. And Ben can't believe that Davey fell for yet another guy like this. I mean, this dude's just the Indian version of Paxton. Or at least, so he thought. Raya makes mention that Dez just got into Stanford, and now Ben realizes that this guy isn't an Indian version of Paxton. He's an Indian version of Paxton mixed with Ben. He goes so far as to try to one-up Dez by talking in Mandarin, which doesn't work. The next day, Ben gets to school, and the first person he seeks out is Davey. He asks her, so what's the deal with you guys? Do you like him? And she tells Ben how Dez asked for her number, but he never texted her back. Although last night, there was definitely some flirtation. Not that she asked for it, but Ben's advice is stop trying so hard. Be yourself and go ask him out. He then has to get to calculus class where he is shocked to find out that they had an assignment he was unaware of because he was too busy listening to an audiobook of King Lear for yet another class. And this assignment is one that the teacher is unwilling to let him turn in the next day. She tells him, Ben, I'm sorry, but you got a 0 for this, and it's going to bring your average down to a B. And Ben can't take this. Everything Davey said was true. He has to take a minute to himself, and he goes out in the hallway, but Ben's been having really bad stomach pains, and it gets to the point where he can't ignore it. He's hunched over in pain, and he's pretty sure his appendix is bursting when Paxton sees him. He tells Paxton about the fact that he has to go to the hospital, and it's Paxton who takes him. But when they get there and they run some tests, they find out that Ben's appendix didn't burst. He's literally full of crap. This dude has been so stressed with a bad diet that he hasn't taken a smash in 16 days. So they have to do a surgical procedure in order to literally clean the crap out of him. As if this story couldn't get embarrassing enough, Ben needs an adult to sign off on it because he's not 18 yet. The hospital can't track down his parents or his babysitter/nanny. So Paxton, being the good guy, says, I'm 18. I'll sign off on it. But it gets even more embarrassing than that. When he comes out of surgery, the doctor tells him, you can go home as soon as you fart. I think anyone would be mortified by this, but Ben's extra mortified because the most popular guy in school is overhearing all of it. But as the two wait for Ben to bust ass, Paxton can't understand why Ben is so stressed out about getting into college. He's clearly good to get in. And Ben explains, I can't just get into any college. I need to get into Columbia. If I don't get in, I disappoint myself and my family and my dad. And Paxton says, this is all about your dad? Dude, tell him to go to hell. You work so hard. If I was your dad, I'd be proud of you. Ben appreciates it, but he wants to change the subject because he sees Paxton's working on something. And Paxton says, I'm working on this stupid college essay. I can't figure out what to write about. Paxton's supposed to write about an impactful event, but he feels like he doesn't even know who he is. So what's been impactful in his life? And through talking to Ben, he comes to the realization that he needs to write about Rebecca, what an impact it made when she was adopted. So after Paxton helped Ben out, Ben helps Paxton out with the essay. Eventually, Ben does end up funking up the entire room and he's able to go home. And his dad, who was doing a work thing, rushes in. And it surprises Ben because his dad was pretty far away. But when his dad found out that Ben was in the hospital, he came home. His dad tells him that the doctor said it was caused by stress and he's worried that Ben's becoming a workaholic just like himself. And Ben's dad doesn't want that. Because as he tells Ben, I spent my entire life trying to impress my dad. And he's been dead for 30 years and I'm still trying to impress him. So I have to tell you, I'm really proud of you. Wherever you go to college, I'm still going to be proud of you. Whatever you do in this life, I'm going to be proud of you. I love you. It's a really emotional scene, and it's one that Ben desperately needed. When he goes into school the next day, he feels lighter for many reasons, and he walks up to the principal and says, I'm dropping AP Calculus and Statistics. But he does ask to add an elective. He then walks into the cafeteria, and there's Davy, who's excited to tell him that her and Des are going on a date. She took his advice, she asked him out, and while it pains her to say it, she thanks him. Ben walks over to the vending machine to get a drink, and Trent stops him, gives him a giant hug, and thanks him for helping out his best friend Paxton. And he even goes so far as to invite Ben into his circle, which Ben really appreciates. So things are looking up for Ben Gross. Oh, and the principal, she absolutely loved Paxton's essay. She couldn't believe he could get that deep. It's definitely going to help his prospects on getting into college, but it also shows that Ben and Paxton had a real positive impact on each other. It wasn't just a one-way street. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry, it'll be up in a day or two.